So, I had a conversation with the French frog biologist known as Jean-Francois Gariepy. And this is not the first conversation I had with him, but this will be the first one I upload to the channel, mainly because when I had the other conversation with him, I didn't think it went that well, and I honestly find it kind of embarrassing. I think in this conversation or debate, whatever you want to call it, I performed a lot better. I was a little bit more confident. However, I still probably could have worded certain things differently. I could have asked better questions, and I could have responded differently as well. I hope that anyone who watches this can criticize me and tell me where I went wrong or what I can do to improve. Thank you.
Hello, classy liberal.
Oh my god, I'm actually on. Sorry, give me a sec. I need to quiet the feed. So yeah, hi Jeff. I don't know if you remember me.
Absolutely, I remember you. I remember that you are truly a liberal. That's what I remember. I don't remember everything.
Yeah, everyone in the chat called me a liberalist or some sort of V copy or whatever, but that's fine. So I wanted to ask some questions about race and IQ, but I think there's a more important subject, which is that you sort of badmouth Italian food earlier, and I just don't think that's right.
Well, I mean, it's eggs with flowers.
No, because like what makes an Italian dish, whether it's like let's say it's pasta, right? Like spaghetti, lasagna, linguine, whatever. It's not actually the actual pasta; it's the sauce and the meat. In fact, earlier you said that like one of the best hot dogs you ever had Italian sausage, or am I wrong?
Oh well, yeah, it was a spectacular sausage. Now I will say the Italian sausage that was in there is what in Quebec we call Italian sausage, which really means a spiced sausage. I don't think that it had anything authentically Italian.
Okay, but like, what about marinara sauce? Like Italians have like really nice sauces. I mean, pizza, you know.
I mean, marinara sauce is a demonstration of my point. It's tomatoes cut in dice and just made into a sauce.
Oh, come on, man. Like you got just imagine, you got a pasta, you got really good meat, you got sauce, you got a freaking Parmesan. Oh, God. You're biased, JF. You're French. You never understand.
You are simply demonstrating to me the limited extent of your food universe when you praise these things. They are absolutely disgusting beside a ribeye steak cooked by a proper French chef.
Okay, well, that's all you have: steak, wine, and cheese. Oh, and cordon bleu. Cordon bleu is really
French
good.
cuisine extends to hundreds of variety of meals. We can talk about Quebec poutine. We can talk about how to properly
well, that's not French,
the various parts
that's
of the
Canadian.
chicken. Well, they're so
French-Canadian.
Poutine is Québécois, and the Québécois people descends from the French.
Fair enough. Okay. Let me ask you something about race and IQ. In our discussion, you mentioned that essentially, like, I asked you though that couldn't, given enough time, black people eventually integrate in our society. You said, well, how many black children? I'm sorry, how many of my children would have to die before that happens? And assuming that you're talking about children living in the United States, I don't think that's true. Statistically speaking, your children would more likely die from other white children,
Well, I don't know how you make your calculations, but the number of crimes
FBI statistics.
FBI statistics, yeah. The number
white
of
people
crimes...
are killed more by other white people. Black people are killed more by other black people.
Oh, absolutely. But there is a much higher rate of black people killing white people than white people killing black people. We're talking about, what, 4 or 5 times the number?
Yes, but that's because in the United States, there's more white people than there are black people. So, of course, more white people are going to die in the hands of black people.
So the point is, there is a threat. There is a potential for my children to be the victim of a crime from black people. And yes, there is also the potential that they will be the victim of a crime from white people. I want to limit these threats, and I consider that each of these murders are illegitimate. That you should do whatever you can to protect yourself from these murders. So the point that there is another threat does not excuse the existence of the first threat. Morally,
Sure.
there are people who can potentially kill my children. That's a problem.
Okay, but I don't see how, you could use that to justify some sort of ethnostate if people of the different races are already kind of segregated in the United States. All you have to do is just live in a white neighborhood and bang, you never have to worry about a black person.
Well, that's what I can do. But when my 18-year-old daughter decides to go live in some neighborhood and she's like, oh yeah, there's no problem, Dad. What can I do then?
You can teach her self-defense.
Yeah, or I can make an ethnostate for her in which she won't even have to learn self-defense.
Oh my God. So you would much rather start this whole new political movement, whatever, than just teach your daughter how to be smart, how to, defend himself,
There are plenty of people who get killed who understand self-defense. And by the way, you can't own a gun in Canada.
Okay, no, I was saying like assuming she lived in the United States, so that's fair, yeah. I guess. Okay then.
But my argument, I would do the same in the US. There's no reason why I would tolerate being subject to a criminal threat and not take the political decisions that protect myself from this criminal threat.
Okay, but wouldn't it just be easier just to teach your daughter self-defenses? Because it'll take a long time to even have these sort of really extreme immigration policies.
Do you know the percentage of efficiency of self-defense strategies? Do you know that self-defense courses can actually protect you from all crimes?
Yeah.
No, it can't. There are plenty of crimes where learning self-defense will not allow you to protect yourself.
I mean, there's always going to be, even if everyone learned self-defense, some people would still die. That's kind of hard to avoid, sure. But...
So I'm trying to avoid all of the potential murders, not just those that could be handled with jujitsu.
I mean, okay, but we can also, have better education systems for African Americans.
You want to educate the population into not becoming murderers?
I mean, the thing is, you have these. I mean, you don't think that the more educated people are, the less likely they are to commit crimes? I mean, Asian people barely commit violent crimes, and they're very educated.
I don't want to live with a population that requires me to spend money on their education so that they don't murder me.
You have to do the same for whites, though. I mean, there are plenty of whites that don't come from a good education, and a lot of them end up becoming, go into crime. I mean,
at a much lesser rate.
Okay. All right, fine. We'll move on to something else then. So, you also. Okay, you also said that sorry, it's just I kind of got distracted. Okay, so you also said that the reason why African Americans in the United States are have a higher IQ than Africans in Africa is because our blacks are quote unquote the whitest blacks, but there's actually a book that actually has a chapter on that. I don't remember the chapter, but the book is called Human Variation, Races, Types, and Ethnic Groups, 6th edition by Stefan Mahler. And basically, I should have got the chapter, but whatever. It basically disproves that point. So I suggest you at least maybe take a look at a book, and I don't know.
Well, I don't have to read the book. You can explain the argument. If it disproves that point, I want to just precise what I was saying was an hypothesis, and it was a partial explanation. So I wasn't saying blacks in the US have higher IQ than those in Africa because of the white genes. I just mentioned that it was not a good basis of comparison because they didn't have the same genes. So it's not a basis of comparison because there is potentially a partial explanation in the genetic constitution of the blacks of the US versus the blacks of Africa.
Okay, let me ask you something. Do you suppose that income can correlate with murder rates?
Income correlate with murder rates? I wouldn't exclude the possibility.
Okay, but I'm just thinking though, like people have more income, therefore less murders.
So you're gonna give money until people stop murdering?
No, you don't have to give money. We can use a free market approach though. Like we can invest in black businesses. We can invest in maybe private schools that are in black areas. Like I call myself classically liberal because I'm a classical liberal. I'm not a progressive. I'm all for using the free market than the state.
Yeah, well, I cannot give my money to people who are threatening me to murder me. I don't engage with
JF.
terrorists.
Every black person just wants to kill. Come on.
No, I'm not saying every black person. Did I say that? Why do you use words I haven't said? I'm saying I will not be funding a social program to protect me from dying. If someone threatens my life, I will use self-defense or law enforcement. You are not entitled to a JF paid education program because JF is scared of you.
Oh my freaking... But who's threatening you, JF? Come on.
What's threatening me is an average level of crime that can be performed on me if I go outside.
Okay, I'm just trying to sort of have the sort of best free market approach without using the state. And you're saying social programs. I'm saying we can invest in black businesses.
The minute you said we can manipulate the free market, it wasn't the free market anymore.
Voluntarily
drop loads and millions of dollars on communities, which will be pumped by social workers. Slowly, they'll make babies that will live in the same shit as the people you're trying to save. This is what you're doing. This is not the free market. You are talking about a social intervention that rewards the most criminal component of your society. It tells them, the more crime you do, the more I'm going to pay you. You've just created something that is absolutely contrary to the free market.
JF, I'm talking about investing in private businesses. That's your choice. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But I'm saying if we were to invest more...
I have a private business I'd like you to invest in. It's an Ethnostate. How much do you have?
Oh, come on.
Oh, so you don't want my private business? Why? Is it because I'm white?
No, it's because I want all people, whites, blacks, to improve.
Okay, so you want me to improve?
Yeah.
I want to build an Ethnostate. How much can you contribute?
I mean, if you want to build it in a private place, in a private island, I'd say go right ahead, you know?
All right, how much do you have?
What do you mean, how much do I have?
Oh, you don't have money to give me? Because you just said you would encourage me, and you wanted to encourage everyone. And so I'm here to claim my part. How much do you have for my project?
Okay. My point is, though, this obviously would be a group project. Obviously, me alone, I can't fund an Ethnostate at the same time improve all of the education system.
So when you talked about funding various communities, it wasn't even your money. You were planning to steal it from someone else.
No, I'm encouraging people to, if they don't want to invest, that's fine. They can build their Ethnostate in whatever private island. But I'm saying, hey, instead of building this Ethnostate, why don't we invest in private businesses? You can build your Ethnostate. Go ahead. I don't care.
Okay, I have a private business. It's called JF Ethnostate Incorporated. We create Ethnostate like McDonald's makes burgers. How much do you have?
I'm saying this would be a group project. We would have to encourage people.
Well, but I mean, what I would tell you for your project is come back when you've convinced a single person of doing it. Someone with money.
No. I mean, I'm just saying though, like we can easily we already have like education programs that help minority groups to invest into their own communities. If I can invest other groups to invest into their communities, I just think that's just much more feasible and just better, maybe even morally speaking. Because then we wouldn't have to use the state. I mean, you would have to use your. I mean, unless you build your private island, that's fine. I support that. But if you want to, build your ethnostate, using existing part of the country, you would have to use the state for that. Wouldn't you?
Well, it depends. Some people in the alt-right, for example, would militate for, yes, the creation of a state through political power, through a kind of segregation, for example, the separation of the province of Quebec. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a libertarian, so the state that would see the day to me would be a very small state. It would be a state of liberty. But yes, there may be something like a police force, and yes, it could include a state-like structure.
Oh, but you're calling yourself a libertarian. I was just advocating for a free market approach, investing in businesses. That's all free market. You
can label it free market, classy liberal. It doesn't become the free market because you call it free. You could have someone held in a cage, torturing him and saying, make a free decision now. And there's no way that decision could be said to be free. You're not suggesting a free market approach because the answer that the free market has to give to you, you already have it. In the free market, black neighborhoods have lesser value in terms of the real estates, and they have higher crime rates. That's what the free market leads to. In fact, it's not even the free market, because we reviewed on the Frame Game reports that we've been for decades trying to fix this problem using other approach than the free market, and using the free market also. And it fails. Did you see the Frame Games report about the Bill Clinton era and the entire set of modifications we've made to bank laws so that they would loan to black people so that they could have a home? Do you know what it resulted in? It resulted in the real estate crash of 2008. Don't quote me on the date, but I think it's that year, 2008.
I think there were, yeah, sure. I think there are other factors that might have.
So your project has already been tried. It led to one of the biggest crash in the real estate industry in the history of the U.S.
Yeah, but the difference between my approach and that approach is that was done through regulation. Mine is done through voluntarism.
So voluntarism, you will pair every black business with a white business, and the white business will be passing money to the black business? How's that gonna work? We tried throwing money at these communities. It doesn't work.
Okay. It's just a real shame. I'm trying to advocate for some sort of free market approach. I'm trying to appeal to the libertarian side of JF, because I do somewhat sympathize with that.
You're dangerous, classy liberal. You're dangerous. Your use of the word free market is so deceptive that it's soiling the word free.
Deceptive. I'm saying people choose to invest. They don't have to invest. You're advocating for people use state power to create their ethnostate.
So I want you to look at the current level of investment in black businesses and black communities. That's what the free market leads to. So you have your answer. We've tried the free market. The current level of investment in these communities is what you get from the free market. And there's nothing that keeps me from going to open some fast food business in some black neighborhood. So there you go. We're free.
Oh, okay, JF. I'll look more into this bill. I think the whole crash of 2008, I think it's more complex than that. Definitely housing had a negative effect on it.
It was the housing crash. It was not a negative effect of the housing sector. The housing sector crashed because we gave loans to people who couldn't pay back. To maintain diversity quotas, in the federal calculations and state level calculations of banks so that they could say that they're not racist.
Okay. I mean, I'm not really even advocating for any regulation. I'm not saying, no, let's force people to invest or let's force businesses to invest. I'm saying we do it on our own accord, but whatever, that's fine.
Well, you can go in the neighborhood, distribute your pamphlet. My answer to you is I have $0 to invest currently.
Okay, fair enough. I guess we can end it here. Guys, it was a pretty good chat. I'm still a little bit angry. Not angry. I'm still a little bit salty about the whole Italian food. I think that's a more important debate, but that's fine.
Well, go comfort you with a rocket cheese because there is indeed some good Italian cheese.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching my video. If you really enjoyed the video and would like to support me, then check out my Patreon. If you don't have the financial means to support me, hey, that's fine. Just subscribe to my channel or leave a comment in the section below. Also, every Saturday night at 9:30 Eastern Time, I do live streams with Revenge of the Dreamer. It's a lot less political, it's a little bit more chill. Sometimes we have other YouTube channels. It's pretty cool, you should check it out. And if you'd like to see interviews or intellectual discussions with YouTube channels, then check out the Classy Liberal podcast. You might find it really interesting. And if you'd like to see updates for more videos or just see me rant on stuff, then follow me on Twitter.